All right, guys, welcome back, team, to another lesson today. Today we're in Revit 2024, and we are going to cover title block editing and manipulation. So this is kind of an intermediate tutorial slash beginner's tutorial as well for those that are not used to editing title blocks. So first off, just as a overview, sheets are digital pages used to organize, present your drawings, present your project views for printing and exporting. Every sheet uses a border template, aka a title block, that sets the edges and intended size of the sheets for print. Usually in one project, you will have one title block throughout all the pages or all the sheets. Uh, However, that's not always the case. Sometimes that title block will change for the cover page or other information pages and so forth. So knowing how to edit title blocks is essential as an architect as you get more advanced, and this is more of a beginner slash intermediate. There will be some intermediate things we'll cover as well. The title block will contain important information like project names, sheet numbers, often project team company information as well. And title blocks are families that you can edit when necessary, like when you're setting up a new project, for instance, or a unique sheet that may have a different type of title block, whatever the case may be. So it's definitely an important tool to know. So in this lesson, I'll show you the basics when it comes to title block editing. All right. All right, team, let's get started. So we have a project open here, and we are in Revit 2024 today, if I didn't already say that. This is just a sample project. Don't pay attention too much to these elevations. We are going to focus on the title blocks today. So when you hover over, so I'm on a sheet, and to get to sheets, I can collapse all in the project browser over here and just look at the sheets themselves. This project has very few sheets, which is kind of nice. 6 or so sheets, but I am in one of these sheets highlighted here and above. So when I hover over, when I'm in a sheet is when you can edit title blocks or get to them. You can also find them in the project browser under families, right? But when you hover over a title block, you should see the entire title block extent highlighted. So the extents of the title block are the far right and far left lines, very top and very bottom lines. So when I click on this title block, after highlighting, I'll click on that, and under the properties panel, it will show me the family name of the title block and the type name. So I have blank title block 30 by 42 horizontal here. That's the title block that I have selected and on this sheet, using on this sheet. The 30 by 42 is 30 inches tall by 42 inches wide. I, as an architect, like to go width first usually. This is the opposite, however, it doesn't really matter. So this is a 42 inches wide by 30 inches tall title block. As you can see, it's more of a landscape rectangular format. And that's that. I wouldn't always trust these numbers here. Don't always trust the title block if it's like a new project for you, or it's coming from a source you may not trust. You may want to check that the title block dimensions are correct. To do that, I'll just show you real quick. We can use like the measurement tool. You can find that on your own, or the dimension tool. And we're just going to grab this far right line and slide over and grab the far left and click. That is 3 foot 6 inches. So that is 42 inches wide. All right. So we're good on the width. So we're just checking these, and then we're going to check the height as well. So grab the very bottom and the very top line here to check the height, which is 2 foot 6 inches, which is 24 plus 6, 30 inches tall. So we are at 30 by 42. Indeed, this is an accurate naming convention for this title block, but it's always good to check that. Okay. So the next step is the big one. We're going to go into edit the family. So once you have the title block selected, well, first off, before doing that, let me just show you this information down here. So the title block will often have company information up in this middle section, maybe a stamp and the architect's stamp, or the engineer's stamp, or what have you. And then down here, somewhere on the far, all the information will often be on the right. That's just how it's laid out. So the far right, I don't know, 1/6 of the page over here, will have revisions. So the revision number, the description, or in the date, some of those columns may change. That's for revisions. If you don't know what those are, that's okay. We'll then have kind of often a like uh, some text here like describing that this is, you know, original work of the architect, blah blah blah, it's copyrighted. Maybe we'll have the sheet size. So we have the drawing size or sheet size, which is 30 by 42. We already talked about that. We'll have the project name often. Right now it's blank, so we will edit that. The sheet name we will always have, which is just the name of this sheet, and you can name that by just clicking on it and changing the name. You can edit the sheet number just by clicking on it, of course, or over here on your project browser you can edit that sheet name and number as well. But this information is where it's pulling from. Sheet name and sheet number is where this information is pulling from for each sheet. Okay. And so all this information is either often text or a label, a tag label, and we will cover kind of the difference on that as we get into editing the title block. There's also an issue date, drawn by, original issue. Don't worry too much about what those mean. We'll not cover that in this video. And then scale of the drawing will often pull from the views themselves. Okay, so that is like information parameters that are pulling from other locations. So let's edit this title block. I'm going to click on it and go into edit family. All right, so we are now, and you saw where that was. If you missed it, let me close out of this. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to do it one more time, clicking on the title block itself and editing family up top. Okay, and you can always close out of that and not save it if you'd like to get back to your project. Within the title block, we're now in the family editor of the title block, and you can tell that by like the title up here, blank title block, showing you that, and it's a different kind of view. This is the family editor view. If you've never been in here before, hopefully maybe you have, and you're somewhat familiar with what's going on here. But if you're a beginner, that's totally great. We'll cover kind of what the basics are. So in this editing within the family, we have text. So you can click on all the text, which is, you can tell it's text. You always, once you click on something in the properties panel, it will tell you what it is. So this is text 32nd inch. This is text 1/8 inch. It's something different. This is a tag label under the sheet name. So the sheet name is text, which means this is not pulling from anything. This is just the text that will always be on the title block on the sheet. It's not going to change. If you click on one of these and it says tag label here, that is something different, and that is like a parameter that's set up and pulling into the project so that the sheet name can reference and be changed for each sheet. So it references that sheet name parameter, and parameters are just, you know, referencing labels basically in this case. So you can obviously edit text and change this to whatever you'd like, you know, the end, whatever. And once that's changed in the title block, and then you load the title block back into the family for that text, load the title block back into your project, then that text will then be changed and updated for all sheets. So make sure if you do want that text changed, that it is something that you do want changed. Again, you can change it. You can go back and edit the title block again and change it again and reload it back in, of course. But that is something that will be across all the sheets that are using that title block, if that makes sense. So when it comes to editing tag labels, we're going to do that now. We have, just to look at this tag label, we have a sheet name tag label, right? And so let's look at that. So there's two ways to edit the tag labels. You can edit the type right here, which is just editing the font and, you know, the overall look of it, the font size, you know, tab size, the color of the text, and that's all well and good, but we're not going to do that today. So we're going to just say okay. And the other edit is edit label. It's in two locations. You can edit the label in the properties panel, or you can edit it up top here. So we're just going to click edit label while having this selected. Doing that opens up if you haven't seen this before, this is kind of the label editing dialog box that lets you select parameters to add to the label or deselect parameters. So you can this is all the parameter options you have here for this specific label. You can click one, say you want to add the author to this, then you add the parameter to the label, and then that parameter is now of author is now on this label. However, we're not going to do that. So to take them off, we just click on them. You can click on this number on the side, make sure the row is highlighted, and then hit this red back button to remove the parameter from the label. All right. So we now, for this parameter, for this label, we just have one parameter called sheet name, which was selected from this list and then brought over. So sheet name is now over here. Some of these columns you can ignore for now. We're not going to get into suffix or break or prefix right now, or spaces. However, just focusing on parameter name, which is sheet name, and the parameter sample value, which for this case can be anything actually you'd like it to be. Sheet name for the sample value makes sense. It's just a sample placeholder basically for that parameter before it's populated, right? It's what you're seeing when we're in this. So we're just going to hit OK, and that's why that says sheet name right there. It's just a placeholder, okay? So that sheet name will pull a parameter, the sheet name parameter from each sheet. If hopefully that makes sense to you. So we can always edit the label and add more parameters or subtract parameters. Obviously you want some parameter in here, so we're going to keep sheet name. All right, so back to the project. Let's look at where sheet name is pulling. So back into the project, you can go back to the project, and that sheet name again is just pulling from the sheet name list over here and can be changed on a sheet basis, on a sheet level basis. So let's go back into the blank title block that we're editing, and let's add a tag label. To do that, because we have project number here as text, and we don't have a tag label for it, so nothing's going to populate here. So let's add a tag label. To do that, we're going to go into create. Okay, so create on the top, and then we're going to select label creation right here. It creates a label for the annotation symbol. All right, and then we're just going to select where we want it roughly. It doesn't matter too much, but we're going to put it around there. All right, so we are adding a project number. Let's see if we can find that. We can just click down here in this list and start typing project, PRO, and project number is right there. Okay, so we've selected project number. We're going to bring it in, and sample value doesn't matter really in this case. I like it to say the same thing usually. And so that's now a new label. That's all there is to it. And we select OK now, and we've now created a label. However, it needs editing real quick because it's obviously too big, and the text is too big, and it's not really fitting here. So let's do two things. Let's drag this to the edge here for this box. I think that's probably big enough for the box itself. And now let's change the tag label size. So to do that, we can either create a new tag label or select one we already have at the right size. I already have a good tag label set up. It's this one right here, 1/8 inch, which is a good size. We want to match this size. So we'll just click on this tag label and change it to 1/8 inch. There we go. Let's make this a little bit smaller. We probably don't need it quite so big. And drag it down within this these border lines here, okay? All right, so we have project number as a tag label at 1/8 of an inch. And let's set it over here. We can set some more parameters for the actual label itself under edit. Actually, sorry, just here under horizontal align, let's align it to the right. I like my labels aligned to the right edge there, and that just means the text will end here and go that way if it's longer than the sample value we have here. It probably won't be. So same thing here. This is pulling. We can check what this is pulling. I don't think we've looked at that yet. So let's edit label. This is pulling the project issue date, and this is just a sample value. That's great. Okay. This one, let's check this one just to look at the scale. This one's pulling the direct scale parameter at a with the sample value. Okay, great. So this is all set up correctly. Let's make sure this one's set up correctly for the sheet number, edit label. This is pulling indeed the sheet number parameter for each sheet. Great. Okay. So hopefully this is all making sense to you guys a lot more than it did before. These are just lines, okay? So the extents are literally just detail lines that are drawn at the right dimensions, all right? And then you want to set a weak reference for them if you're setting them up. Setting a weak reference allows you to dimension to them, which is a smart thing to do. They're just thin lines, guys. Nothing big. These are all just lines, detail lines within the family, right? And they're just set up with good spacing for the most part. I don't think anything's too off here. It doesn't look like. You can set up a different, margin for each sheet that you want. This is a 1/2 inch on the edge. This margin over here is like a 1/2 inch as well. So you can kind of set that up as you'd like. But this has already been set up prior by me, so I know it's okay. This is also just not for construction text. And if you don't know why you would have that, we're not going to get into that today. However, that's just text there that's going to show up on all the sheets, pretty light font there. All right, so once we are done editing, we've added the project number and the project number parameter tag label. We're actually going to add one more label here, the project label. So let's go back into create. Hopefully you know how to do this now. Label, click where you want it. I'm going to go a little faster here. This is project name. Project name. We're going to bring that over with the arrow. Sample value is fine. We're going to hit OK. All right, a couple things. I think this is probably a good size for the project name. Yeah, that's probably good, big enough. I like to drag it out a little bit to make sure it's got enough room to breathe. We have it aligned left. So horizontal line left is fine. And usually you want to put it towards the top in case you have a long project name so that it has room to grow down below. All right, so that looks fine. I think that's good. Set the width a little wider here. Yeah, great. Okay, so this is project name. We have the tag label set up. We have the label itself set up. And I like the font and everything looks fine. It's just matching the sheet name at a 1/4 of an inch. All right. So let's watch this populate in the project itself. I think I already have a project name listed in the project and a project number. However, we will watch and see if it populates. So last step here is to load into the project. You can load into the project and close this family if you'd like. However, sometimes you may like to keep it open, the family editor open and just load directly into the project. So I'm going to do that, load into project, and you'll get this pop up. Overwrite the existing version is usually the way you want to go, okay? So we will overwrite the existing version, and instead of overwriting the existing version and its parameter values, I think we're fine. Just overwriting the existing version is usually the safe route. So we're going to select that. However, if it didn't work out, go ahead and go back to the family editor and reload back in and try the other option, right? If it didn't work out, backspace out of that and try the opposite option, because sometimes you may not, it may be one of those two options. All right. All right, guys, I think we're about done here. So last thing is I just want to show you that this is populated into the project itself. We have a kind of fake project number set up for this sample project, and that's populating, as you can tell here, on each sheet. And now we have, before there was no project name listed here, now we have garden gnome name listed as the project name. Great. How do I access those two? If I want to change the project name, I can change it by just clicking on it, honestly, is the easiest way. And then if I want to change the project number, I can just click on it and change it, and it will change across all the sheets. However, where is that pulling from? Let me just show you that. That's under manage, I believe, project information up here on the top. Okay, manage project information. That name garden gnome is pulling from here. Let's say we want to keep the great garden gnome name of this project, but capitalize it all. We can do that and retype that here. Maybe the project number has changed. Maybe it's now a 12 at the end. So we can adjust those here. The project number, project name, everything having to do with the project. Overall information is listed here under project information. So we've edited those two. Let's watch them change in real time. So I'm going to scroll, drag this over and move this out of the way and hit OK. So you can watch these two. This will change and this will change. Go ahead and hit OK. Great, those have changed. I was worried those wouldn't for some reason, but they did. Awesome. No. So that's about it, guys. If you want this centered, you can go back, see if the name's not going to change and you don't like it off centered within this box here, you can go back into the edit the family, drag this back over, or maybe you just want a horizontal line center here so that the name's right in the center. Then load back into the family. This is just a final thing to show you one more time how this all works. And look, that's updated into your project and a nice centered text for the project name. Okay, I think that's all. I've tired you guys out today. We're at about 20 minutes. So we will close up. If you have any questions, submit those down below, comments, whatever. I'll get to them when I can, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a great day.